In a rainy laundromat, a quiet janitor is humiliated when a teen knocks over his mop bucket and a dryer scorches a child's blanket. A rideshare mom steps in, cleans the mess, pays $120 for the blanket, and waits on hold to schedule a repair, missing a lucrative morning. Her costly kindness shifts the room's tone and sparks small follow-up acts, including the teen returning with labels. Just a quick note before we begin: hit like, share this with a friend, and subscribe for more. Also, let me know in the comments which country you're watching from. It always amazes me how far these stories travel. It was a wet Tuesday at Spin Cycle on Maple and 3rd. The rain came at a slant and shoes squeaked on the tile. The room glowed a tired kind of clean under the buzzing lights. Machines drummed. Soap smell and pennies. The man with the mop moved the way people move when they hope not to be seen. He wore a faded blue shirt with his name stitched on, but no one looked at the name. He chased a line of lint along the baseboard. He lifted the bucket like it was heavier than it looked. He hummed something without notes. A toddler in a red dinosaur hoodie watched him with the full stare little kids have. Her mother balanced a phone, a diaper bag, and a pile of towels. A wet line of umbrellas sagged by the window. A college kid kicked at a dryer door until it latched. Coins and chatter, and the low throb of heat. The man caught a wrapper before it slid under a machine. He smiled at the toddler. He had that soft uncle smile, the kind that waits to see if you smile back. She did, shy, thumb in her mouth. People came and went. No one spoke to him except when they wanted extra quarters. Dryer 14 let out a sharp beep that broke the room. A woman in a puffy coat yanked the handle. The door stuck. A flex of her arm, a pop, and the door came away a little too hot. A breath of scorched cotton rolled out. The woman held up a comforter with a singed corner like a prize she wished she hadn't won. "Are you kidding me?" she said, to no one and to everyone. Heads turned. The man with the mop set the bucket down. The man behind the counter looked up from his phone. "Don't pull like that," he called, as if that settled it. "I didn't pull," the woman in the puffy coat said. "Your heater cooked my stuff." Her voice went high at the end. A young man in a varsity jacket whistled low. Someone laughed. Not kind. The man with the mop stepped closer. "I can," he said, then stopped when the hot edge of the comforter brushed his hand. He flinched. He looked at the counter guy, then at the woman, then at the ground. The machines kept eating quarters. "Where's the sign that it's broken?" the woman asked. "Where's that?" "There was a sign," the counterman said. "Maybe it fell." "So it's my fault," the woman said. The comforter looked worse by the second. It wasn't ruined, but it was close. It had cartoon stars on it, for a kid's bed. The kid would ask tonight, "You going to pay for this?" A tall boy in a varsity jacket hip-checked the bucket as he passed. The metal lip caught his knee. Water sloshed. The grey mop water spread out across the tile, thin and fast, like the rain had finally found a way in. The man with the mop stepped back and bumped the table. A roll of quarters rattled, fell, and burst. They spun, wobbling, then settled in little heavy moons across the floor. "Seriously," someone said, "can we not with this?" The varsity jacket boy held his phone up to record the wet floor like it was all a show. "Messy," he said to the video. "Dude, mop it." The counterman sighed loud, the way managers sigh when they're pretending the sigh is for humanity and not laziness. "If you break dryers, I dock your pay," he said toward the man with the mop, not looking up. "We can't keep losing money." The humming changed. It wasn't louder. It was like the room had teeth, and now they were clenched. The man with the mop stared at the spreading water as if he could pull it back with his eyes. The puffy coat woman set the smoking comforter on a table and rubbed her thumb over the scorched spot. She looked like someone pulling a thread they can't stop pulling. The woman in the lime green jacket said, "Hey, easy." She shifted her toddler on her hip. Her hoop earrings caught the light. She stepped in front of the bucket like it mattered what was between a knee and a thing that can be knocked over. The varsity jacket boy rolled his eyes slow, like a joke in a movie. The woman looked at the man with the mop. "I'm going to help," she said, like it was already happening. She knelt on the tile with a small beach towel from her bag and dammed the water. The towel soaked through in a blink. She moved it, patted it, folded it, used it again. She pressed a wad of napkins under the bucket. She scooped up quarters, set them on the folding table in a wet clink, and patted them dry with the front of her jacket. Her toddler patted the floor with her little hand and made a print that looked like a flower. "Sorry," the man with the mop said. He sounded like someone saying it for the 100th time since morning. His accent stretched the word. "It was the machine," the woman said. Not you. She said it like fact, not comfort. She said it to the room. The puffy coat woman looked up. Her face was wet in a way that wasn't rain. My son's blanket, she said, softer now. She wasn't angry so much as tired. He doesn't sleep without it. The woman in the lime green jacket stood and wiped her knees. She unfolded a rubber-banded bundle of small bills and counted out 120. She held the money where the counterman could not ignore it. This covers the blanket, she said. And this is a receipt. She took a photo of the stack with her cracked phone and then the American flag sticker on the dryer with the model number. She had that tone people have when they keep things from falling apart, one by one, all day long. The counterman stared at the money like it had teeth. You don't have to. He started, then stopped, because he had already threatened to dock the mopman's pay, and words cost shame when you do a quick turn like that. She's not paying for the machine, the woman said. She's paying for the blanket, so tonight isn't a disaster. She slid the money toward the puffy coat fingers. Call the manufacturer for the machine. She called the service number on the sticker by the coin slot and put the phone on speaker. The hold music was a cheap synth version of a pop song that made everyone a little sad. She gave the model number, the location, and said, there is a mild smoke smell but no active flame, like she had practiced saying what matters. She asked for a work order number and made the counterman write it down. She spelled out Maple. She waited until a real person promised a tech by afternoon. The minutes ran themselves away. The varsity jacket boy had stopped recording. He nudged a quarter toward the pile with the side of his shoe. He looked young again. He stuffed his hands in his pockets and found his eyes somewhere near the floor. The room exhaled. The humming turned back into a normal sound. The puffy coat woman slid the money into her phone case and pressed the edge closed like it could think. She folded what was left of the cartoon comforter in careful thirds. The toddler handed the man with the mop a red dinosaur sticker from a strip she'd pulled out of who knows where. He set it on the edge of his name patch and, after a beat, pressed it on with his thumb. It covered the first half of the name. He smiled down at it. The manager brought a chair. He didn't say sorry. He didn't say anything. He put the chair where the man with the mop could sit and bent to pick up a quarter he had ignored before. He put it on the pile with the other quarters and didn't count them, just left them there. Steam from someone else's wash rolled through the room and softened what was left of the sharp edges. The varsity jacket boy grabbed a blue roll of tape from the counter and handed it to the woman in the lime green jacket without looking at her. She took it. She wrote out of order on a paper towel with a marker from her diaper bag and taped it to dryer 14. The letters looked like they knew what they were doing. By the time the tech showed up in a grey truck, the water was gone. The floor had a wet shine that made it look like a different place. The toddler had fallen asleep, heavy on the woman's hip. The puffy coat woman kept her phone up with two hands and took a photo of the tech, the dryer, the sign, the counterman, and the pile of quarters, proof of a day. On her dashboard later, the app showed a grey bar where Serge would have been. She had missed the morning school run, which is quick money. She sat in her car and watched a drop of water swing from the tip of the wiper blade and not fall. She blew on her tea. It had gone cold a half hour ago. In the hold music, she scrolled a little. There was a message from her landlord with a photo of a notice, then resolved in a follow-up text. His thumbs were too big for the phone and always hit extra letters. She smiled without showing teeth. She pulled a bracelet off her wrist, a thin gold one, and put it in the glove box for later, maybe. She did math in her head that came out tight but not impossible. She didn't tell anyone about any of it. She put the car in drive and went to pick up a stranger with a suitcase and a story she'd never hear. In the laundry room office, he slid an envelope labeled shoes back under a stack of bleach coupons. He had been saving for his grandson. He would save a little longer. He smoothed the paper flat with fingers that had taken apart slow motors for 30 years and put them back together better than they came. He cleaned the lint traps with that same care. He touched the red dinosaur on his shirt like it might peel off if he didn't watch it. The next Saturday, the tall boy came back. He had a roll of blue tape between his fingers and a pack of heavy-duty labels from a hardware store. He wrote on one in big block letters, "Please don't slam doors." Then he stuck it on dryer 14 and smoothed it like he meant it. He looked around to see if anyone saw him do it, and seemed relieved when no one did. On his way out, he bent, picked up a stray sock from the floor, and set it on a machine in a small, kind move that cost him nothing, and somehow still cost him something. The manager taped up a fresh sign by the door, "Be kind to staff. Machines have quirks." The letters were straight. He had a daughter with a hockey game that day, and on the way to the rink he told her, "People are rough for no reason sometimes." And she said, "Em, and looked out the window, and he didn't push it. But he had written the sign. An older woman started leaving a Tupperware of cookies on the folding table near the buckets. She never said who they were for. The lids had little notes folded under them that said things like, "Start lots of loads before noon," or "Ask me for my lemon bar recipe." No one asked her. The lemon bars still showed up. A girl with a backpack began holding the door with her foot for anyone carrying baskets. She said, "Got you," without looking up from her phone. The man with the mop started saving her a seat by the window when she was alone. He didn't say it. He just didn't mop that spot until she left. The puffy coat woman washed the cartoon comforter again 3 days later. The scorch mark had faded to a shadow you could miss if you weren't looking. Her boy slept. He drooled on her shoulder on the bus, and a man gave up his seat without being asked. Small, like a match struck in daylight. No one told the woman in the lime green jacket any of this. She wasn't looking for updates. She kept the work order number in her notes for no reason she could name and deleted it a week later to make space for photos of her kid. Nobody put a plaque on the wall. No one called the news. It wasn't that kind of day. It was a day that had a before and an after, and you could feel the seam if you stood where the bucket had tipped and looked at the floor when the light hit it just right. The feeling was, we can do fewer wrong things to each other without a lecture. The feeling was, a person can be a hinge. Things still broke. People still had thin patience. But sometimes, when a machine beeped too loud, everyone looked up at once and didn't roll their eyes. Sometimes, when the man with the mop came near with his dented bucket, folks lifted their feet and smiled like they saw him. Sometimes the counterman stopped sighing and started showing a tech the work order number before he asked. It wasn't a miracle. It was a shift, like turning the volume down a notch so you can think. On a sunny morning a week later, a red dinosaur sticker on a blue shirt caught the sun. The man with the mop pressed his hand over it once, flat, the way you keep something from peeling. Outside, the sidewalk steamed as the night rain burned off, and the machines drummed steady, and the out-of-order sign on dryer 14 had been redone neatly, with a small sketch of a smiling dryer in the corner. The room smelled like soap and oranges. The chair was still there,